welcome back for another amazing episode of the Third Shield Pokemon Go PvP podcast. Guys, in this episode, I have an amazing guest. Every morning when I get up, actually, I usually sip on my espresso and watch him battle. It's usually Oscarlicious and Vergyverg is the two amazing battlers that in my time zone in the morning, they always battling. But Vergyverg is one of the best that I have learned the most from as far as team composition and knowing your actual craft. And actually, here's one of the reasons, guys, why I created Heavy Damage in a way that I just wanted to create one team that I can actually stick to and use all the time. So, Vergyverg, welcome to the podcast, and thank you for being here.
All right, Daniel, thank you for having me. I've seen a lot of these ones that you've had, the interviews, so I've really been wanting to come on, so I'm glad to be here.
Of course, I was very excited to have you on the podcast. And first of all, thank you also. Lost Rule season 4, you actually helped me out once when I was going to rank 10. That was actually pretty awesome because obviously you're a very respectful battler. So when I saw you, we were facing each other, I was like, oh man, I'm in trouble. and then that was awesome. So thank you for that.
Yeah, for sure.
And also what I wanted to ask you about is how you're doing so far this season.
Yeah, this season I'm doing pretty well. We had a really good starting MMR. I think we were at 2557. We haven't moved much since then, to be fair, but yeah, just getting my stride here in Ultra League. Great League's always been great, or I've always been good at Great League, so hopefully when it comes back again, we'll be able to push some more.
Okay, so since right away you brought it up, then which league is your favorite league? Is that Great League?
Yeah, I think Great League's my favorite league. I come from Silph background, the Silph Arena, so all the battles there are Great League battles, so I'm more used to like the moves that come out of the Pokemon and used to the timing and all that. So yeah, I'm just more practiced in it, so it's obviously better for me.
And did that change at all this season because of the XL Pokemon and all the new releases? Did that change like how you perform, you think, in Great League, or it was similar as any other season?
I do think it's similar, but I don't think there are that many changes this first week or 2 weeks of Great League, but I think the next time Great League comes around here in like 3 or 4 weeks, whenever it is, more people will have more candy for Pokemon to actually change. So I think some of the bigger changes for XL are going to be Sableye and Medicham. Sableye being that really big change. So I think coming around to it again, it'll be a lot different this next go around because Sableye's going to have a lot more matchups that it can win further level or with a bigger level. Also, Licky Lick, is it Lickitung? Yeah, I think Lickitung maxes at 50. So that's going to be a big one if people can get the candy for it.
Yeah, that I've been eyeing on that for so long. Since they announced level 50, I've been eyeing on it, but my candy on that thing is like, I think I have like 50.
Yeah, I don't have very much at all. I'm never going to have one. I don't even have a good one, so not going to put candy into it.
Yeah, that's something. If it comes like on a community day or something, then maybe we can do it. But other than that, it's only a few people can afford that.
Yeah.
So as far as for any level of 50s, is there anything that you're eyeing on that you want to build as yourself for Great League or Ultra or Masters?
Yeah, well, for Masters, everything you're going to want to have 50, but I don't raid that much, so I definitely don't have the candy to make any of the legendaries. So whenever it does become a level 50, I think I'm going to be at a huge hindrance. It's going to be tough for Master League. But Ultra League, yeah, I've definitely been looking at Umbreon. I think mine is level 44 and a half right now, but I'm out of XL candies and EV candy in general. But that's one that I'm really hoping to get to 50 at some point.
Yeah, that thing is a monster. I faced a few of them and I was like, oh boy, it's pretty tanky.
I faced one today actually that was 51. It had the best buddy and fully leveled up. And yeah, it did actually a lot of damage to my Togekiss. It felt pretty bad.
Man, I'm enjoying that there are these changes. I'm just hoping that by next season comes around, because I think this season we have Holiday Cup, and then also we don't have to participate in the level 50 Masters League, if I'm correct.
Yeah. So you don't have to do the level 50 Master League. I actually probably will just do Holiday Cup. Master League, I've never been the biggest fan of. I finally got Haxorus last season, or the last time Master League was around, through a lucky trade. So, and then threw all my rare candy into it. but I'm fine just doing Great League. I'll figure out Holiday Cup. I actually don't even know the what's allowed and not allowed and everything, but we'll
Yeah,
get
me
there.
neither just yet. I just looked into like very briefly, but I'm excited about Holiday Cup because that's where I'm gonna be. I'm definitely not doing the master. I only have one team for Masters League, and I don't even know the matchups. So I'm probably gonna sit that one out and focus on Holiday Cup.
Yeah, from what I understand, just from people chattering on Twitter, I think it's supposed to be like a huge Vigoroth Altaria Cup. So if you can figure out how to break that core, you might be doing pretty good there.
Oh yeah, that sounds pretty awesome. I'm excited for it. Now, as far as for Silph Arena, are you still participating a lot in Silph Arena with all the lockdowns and everything, or you also just pulling back a little bit and focusing more on Go Battle League?
Yeah, right now I'm just focusing more on Go Battle League. When we first went into like, I guess COVID lockdown or whatever you want to call it, in Silph, where they started doing all remote tournaments, no in person. I remember playing a lot of tournaments, and I think I kind of just got burnt out, and it's just gotten too tough to like message your opponents every day and try to figure out if you can do a battle. Everyone's in different time zones. I think in a perfect world, it's actually great because you're not stuck in your own town or whatever, and you can actually face a lot of the bigger names. But I don't know. I really enjoyed going to the in-person tournaments. So I don't think I've participated in a Silph Cup. I haven't participated this season, and I think it's probably been 6 or 7 months. I did the wild card tournament for what is it called, regionals, to try to get into continentals rather. I tied for first and then lost in a playoff there, and that's the last time that I played Silph. But once we come back to in-person tournaments, I'm down to just get back in it 100%. But while it's remote, I think I'm just gonna wait.
Yeah, I hate to agree with you, and I hate to say it, but everybody that I interviewed, including myself, shared the same opinion as you on the remote battles, and it's really pain in the butt in different time zones and all that. It's cool if you can have the option for it, but it's way better that in person. I enjoyed it so much. That's where I first met Linden Ryu and Speedy as Chief too. In an in-person tournament, and I was sold. I was like, all right, this is it. And that was my first and last tournament, and we went into lockdown.
Oh man. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, in-person tournaments are so fun. Like our scene here in San Antonio is pretty small. We used to have two really small like leagues, I guess, and then it like merged into one like medium, I guess. But yeah, I love seeing all those people in every week or 2 weeks or whatever and battle. It was fun.
Yeah, it brings back memories when I was a kid and I was actually in school and we used to meet on the weekends for trading card games, to actually play, and there was the actual league. And that's how it felt like to me when I went to the actual Pokemon Go event. So, but now, actually, since we're talking about it, let's bring it up real quick. It's almost like right now with the signing of Swedish Chief 2 and Rise 2 occasion and a few other people and Panic, I think, as like esports, basically by X. What is it? I forgot what it's called. The
That's
organization.
Mazer
Maze.
Gaming.
There we go. Yes, amazing organization, and they start signing players. So that's probably going to change a lot how Silps works and how Pokemon Go and competition and tournaments, prize cups, and all those things. So, do you have any idea or any opinion, or are you going to participate, or what are you hoping in the future that's going to happen in Pokemon Go esports and maybe even just Silp prize cups?
Uh, I think it can be an esport. Yeah, I think technically it is an esport. I mean, there are already organizations. It's just not as big as all the other esports games, I guess. But I think, yeah, I would love it to be an esport. That would be great. I think that the game needs to change a lot. I think Silph, like I said, I actually love Silph, so I think that Silph is the right way to go about that if you want to do the choose three, like bring six, choose three. I think that's a lot more competitive, obviously, than GPL, where things can get kind of random. So if Niantic ever changes to add that in when they actually try as hard as they can to go to esport, then I think it'll be great. They have already said that they would love to go into an esports scene, so they're going to try. So hopefully they do fix a lot of the bugs. I know today earlier I got the third shield bug today, probably for the first time in a long time for me. I know it still happens to a lot of people all the time, but yeah, there's a lot of bugs that still need to be fixed, but they can for sure get there. I mean, Niantic's a huge company, and if they actually want to go this route, they can go this route. It's all depending if they want to or not. But yeah, I think it can for sure.
I agree with you, and I loved your answers. And as far as for this season, let's circle back just a little bit. So, because we had a full ELO reset at the beginning of the season, at least that's what it happened. But it still seemed like that if you are a ranked 10 player the previous season, you still face mostly ranked 10 players, you know, at the beginning of the season. So it's almost like there was still just a little bit something there, matchmaking purpose, or I'm not sure if it was, but that's what it felt like. But maybe just luck, or maybe the really good players just wanted to start right off the bat. Like you started right off the bat, right? Like right up the front. As soon as the season started, you were already on, right? First day.
Yeah, first day I was in. Yeah,
Yeah, so that's
for
I was
sure.
wondering. So maybe that's why, and then some of the people just wanted to wait out a few days, which I understand. So there goes the question I want to ask you. Do you think is it better for strictly point perspective, ELO perspective, and let's say I guess radio ratio, how do we say it, the win loss calculation? Is it better to, let's say, wait maybe a few weeks to get started in Go Battle League, or start right off the bat with everybody at the same time?
If you're just looking at number of games played to reach 3,000 or level or rank 24, whatever it is, it's definitely better to just wait. If I That's just the way the system works. So if we play like, so I played at the beginning of the season and I had something like a 70% win rate, and I think a lot of the big names you saw had around a 70% win rate, and it's because of the full reset. You're facing people that may be lower than your normal level, or yeah, pretty much. And the amount of points in this system at the beginning isn't as much as it will be in the end. So that's the reason people rank up so slowly. But if they wait until the last 2 weeks or something like that, 3 weeks, then some people are already already have a 3,000 rating. So if you were to beat someone at a 3,000 rating and you don't have that much, you'd be winning tons of points. Versus matching with people at equal to you, you're gonna just gain, I don't know what it is, like 10, 12 points for each win, 10, 12 points for each loss. Whereas if you're beating people far above you, you're going to be getting that like 20 points or whatever it is. So if you wait towards the end, you're going to be getting massive streaks. Like, I'm sure, I think we mentioned it a little before this interview, that people are starting out just now and they're getting their initial rating at 2,700, and that's because there's more points in the pool of system right now because people have already played and put those points in there.
That's a really good point. Now you explained it perfectly, that how that works and how people actually get ahead quicker than others, and that's the reason. And it makes perfect sense. It makes absolute perfect sense. That's why so many times I question that, how come I just only got 50 points or whatever it was, or 40 for a 5-0, and then but I lost sometimes 75 or something like that, and I was like, oh crap, what just happened? That explains it.
Yeah. And what you probably will notice, someone will do it for sure. So at the end of the season with like 3 weeks or 2 weeks left, you'll see someone who's played the minimum amount to get to rank 20, which I think is like, I don't know how many games it is. Maybe it's 200. If they win, or if they start and they win a lot of those percentage games, they'll probably hit 3,000 before they even hit rank 21.
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's a. And I did read something about it at Reddit too, that have some people going to test it out and going to actually go for it. So it makes sense.
Yeah, and someone will do it. It's like, it'll be hard. Obviously, you still have to win a good percentage, but if you win, let's say 85% of the games up to rank 20 at the end of the season, you'll probably hit 3,000 by rank 21.
That's pretty awesome. It would never work for live streamers like you and me because we actually
Oh
have to
no.
create content.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah,
Tough life. We have to play all our games.
exactly. So we actually play out all the games, even the bad days, good days. Speaking of that, so what do you normally do? Do you ever change the team, take a break, stop battling or anything if you're facing, let's say you've been doing great previous days, and then today all of a sudden first two sets, not matches, just the first whole sets go negative and it just counter city or something like that. What do you do, and how do you get over that? Because we face that every once in a while.
Yeah. If I'm streaming, I'm gonna just keep streaming the full 5 sets. Well, maybe. So today I had 6 sets, and like you said, I had a couple of negative sets. I did have a 5-0, but I actually had, I think, 3 negative sets, which I think is the first time I've had that this season. So instead of doing my 6 set, I just decided not to do that 6 set, but I still finished out my 5. I'll save a set for tomorrow. I usually don't change up my teams. I think I know my teams as well as I can. So, even if we get the counter leads, you would hope that I know the matchups enough to try to come back from them. I know that yesterday towards today, I did switch to Open Ultra League for a bit of a change. I thought I was getting more losses than normal in Open Premier, or Ultra Premier, I mean. So I decided, I want to try out the team that we played a few seasons back. So let's go ahead and test out Open Ultra League and see how it is. And we did okay. Like I said, we had 3 negative sets, but a lot of those is not knowing very many matchups for Open Ultra. It's been a long time since we played Open Ultra, at least 2 seasons. Yeah, so maybe 2.5 months. So a lot of those matchups that I had memorized, I don't remember too much anymore, and a lot of changes with the level 50 stuff. So
And you mainly using the same team season over season, right?
yeah, for Great League, I've used the same team. Well, up to this season, I used the same team for 4 seasons. And then I switched one Pokemon from that team this season, and the rest of the team's still exactly the same. Yeah. So it can be tough. One thing that can be really tough is I assume everyone knows my movesets. Like I use a really unique moveset on Hypno. I use Focus Blast. Um, and yeah, maybe for the first few seasons, even it catches people off guard. But the odds of catching people off guard, the longer it goes, are pretty tough. So
Yeah, that's definitely the curse of using. That's the only curse, though, using the same team over and over. But the thing is, if you master that team so much, then technically you can almost overcome every situation that is physically possible to overcome.
yeah, and that's kind of the way I do it. I think I'm just a little addicted to Scrafty. So when I found a team that worked with Scrafty back at the end of season 2, I kind of just stuck with that. And yeah, a lot, like you said, knowing a lot of the matchups, you can overcome a lot of bad leads and stuff. I will say one thing that could be a negative from that is, I put videos out and they're almost always the same team, which people could get bored of or whatever. But also, some people say they use the same team and then they lose a lot, and it's like, well, I've been playing this team for 4 seasons or 3.5 seasons. Maybe I've just mastered the matchups a little more, so I kind of just tell them just try a little longer. You're going to take losses when you're learning it, and that's just the way it is, and that's fine.
Oh, that's for sure. And then there's so many different teams that sometimes just doesn't fit the player style in a way that some teams are just you have to play aggressive. Some teams you have to put the timer out. Some teams have to be defensive. Some teams there's so many different ways to play, and people don't understand that at the beginning at least because I didn't for sure. So I can imagine all the other people thinking the same way. Oh, I just tapping and swapping and attacking, but it's really not it.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to also bring up is that with with everything that's going on right now. So I mean, with all the changes and everything, would you still recommend to people, to let's say new people? I'm talking not like people who are King Ivy who knows every matchup possible, but like new people who are starting out, and they see all the content creators um, showcasing all these new Pokemon, and they actually winning with it. Like Caleb Pang has a new team, and then he goes on with like a 27-3, winning streak. And then people all of a sudden jump in and they play with it and they start losing, and then they're like, oh, this team doesn't work. So what I'm heading to is do you recommend these new people to test out these teams, or should they just pick one team that is strong team and then just learn every matchups possible? Or what would you recommend to a new player?
Yeah, if you're a new player, I would definitely pick one team, stick with it. Probably, oh man, it's tough because a lot of the content creators too, they play a lot of different teams, and some of those teams aren't as good as you would think they are just from what you see in the videos. Like people are going to show a lot of their wins, like mostly their wins. So teams are going to seem really good. You should really, I think if you're just starting out and you don't have any Pokemon at all, I would watch a lot of streams because the streams on Twitch are going to be real time. You're going to see wins and losses. You're going to see a more diverse field of gameplay. So I would probably do that. Um, yeah, and then also recognize like I've tried some Caleb Ping teams before. I've tried some Asian Milkman teams before. Like these players are insanely good. So just because they're making something work doesn't mean it's the most efficient thing that you can be doing if you're not at that skill level. Because if you're not at that skill level, it's not going to perform the same. You're just going to be, I don't know, you're going to be kicking yourself if you spend all your dust on these Pokemon that aren't like meta, I guess, and then it's not working out for you. But if you do put in the time with their team and you watch their videos as well, eventually you'll get to that level as well. So I think it's fine as long as you stick with the team, I guess is my answer.
Good point. And speaking of dust, do you have any hustle, daily things or chores or any rules whatsoever in maintaining, getting, or spending Stardust?
Yeah, so I don't spend dust at all. So that's another good thing about keeping the same team. Try because like I don't know how it is for everyone, but if you're in lockdown, you're not going to be able to get dust at all. That's kind of just how it is, which is why I definitely tell people if they can play out all of your GBL matches. That is where I get most of my dust at this point. Also, do your 7 daily catches or your daily catches for 7 days because you can do that. I don't live on a stop, so I never get the stop stuff anymore. It's tough. On the weekends, sometimes I do go out and grind, but in the weekdays, I don't really leave the house. So, yeah, GBL is a very good thing for dust, especially this season. So I think the way that it works this season is the earlier ranks you make less dust. For like a 5.0 would only give you like 1,000 dust. So you got to grind your way up to rank 20, which is just wins. So it'll take you it's just time. And then once you get there, the dust is worth more per win. So try to play out all your games if you can. I think it's the most dust efficient thing to be doing in the day and age we live in right now.
For sure. And so now with the Ultra League. So Ultra League, we're in the middle of Ultra League. We have one more week left, basically. What are you going to stick with Premier, or you try to go more Open Ultra? And if Premier or Open Ultra, what's the team that you're going to use?
Yeah, so I think at least for the next couple days, I'm going to try Open Ultra. Try to remember some of these matchups that I lost today that I probably shouldn't have lost. Um, and maybe do that. Maybe even do that to the end of the season. But so the team I use in Open Ultra is an old Asian Milkman team. Actually, it's a Togekiss with a Scavalier and Snorlax in the back. With I was using a Shadow Snorlax at the beginning of the stream, and then someone asked me to switch up to have Earthquake, and I didn't want to change my Shadow Lax because I used that in a Premier Ultra League. So I just used a regular Snorlax and put Earthquake on it, and that actually is going really well. So I'm gonna stick with that team for at least a few days, maybe even to the end of Ultra League. But I've literally spent no dust on Ultra League, and well, no, except for the Umbreon that I got to 44. And I'm gonna try not to spend any dust for the rest of Ultra League.
That's a really good point and good saving on the dust. And by the way, is there anything in Ultra League that if you would have unlimited candy and dust and it's new XL that you could actually try as an XL Pokemon, and you like I said, you have unlimited XL candy besides Umbreon because you already know you want Umbreon and you're building it. What would be like another Pokemon that you would definitely build in Ultra League if you have unlimited XL candies?
Oh man, I was definitely gonna say Umbreon, but actually I think Berserker. We talked about it a little bit. I think Berserker is actually might be broken in Ultra League here because it does reach level 50 and it flips a ton of matchups that it couldn't win before, specifically the Togekiss matchup. I played against one earlier today and I was like, okay, usually in this matchup I shield once, I throw a move once, and then I farm down. And it actually farmed me down. So I used a shield. They didn't use a shield. And yeah, it got me and I lost that match just instantly. So I think Berserker's a huge addition here to Ultra League with if you have XL Candy.
Yeah, and not only that, but with Berserker, I'm a huge Berserker user, and the Cresselia, oh my God, Lyndon Ryu came on one of my streams, and that was the first time I played with it, and he was also surprised that a Moonblast now is like does like this tiny bit of a dent in a Berserker, and so now a Berserker absolutely was a Cresselia, and Cresselia is a beast to begin with, but it was just so cool. It was just so cool, and it also flipped the matchups a bit. Giratina as well. It's just way better with the Shadow Claws too, and the Dragon Breath is not walled, but the Shadow Claws now you can actually win at the end. Before you would have to shield twice.
Oh wow. Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, it definitely beats a lot of the big players there. Like you're saying, Giratina, Cresselia, Togekiss, like these are Pokemon you're gonna see every single time, at least one of them, right?
And speaking of well, these big Pokemons and everything, I know it's almost impossible. Actually, it's impossible. I don't think anybody can besides Brandon 10, but I don't think anybody can actually max out a full set of a Masters League team. So luckily, we don't need to this season. But are you? What would be like your first picks to max out for Masters Premier or Open Masters eventually when we actually force to max out something with Excel Candy?
I mean, I think I would have to go Premier. Oh, one second. Yeah, I think I would have to go Premier, just because I don't think I'm ever getting those legendary candies, and I don't have like a million rare candy like a lot of people do, so I'm not going to be able to convert very much there. Man, what can I even make? So I remember the first time Master League came around, and I didn't have any legendaries at all. I think I used, I think I used a level 35 Kyogre, a Machamp that was level 40 from raiding, so that was nice. Um, I forget the last Pokemon I even used, but definitely. So Machamp's gonna have to be on there. Machamp probably is a Pokemon that I do have a lot of candy for. I should probably check that. And then I don't know what I would go with it, man. I don't know. It'd be tough because yeah, I don't know. I'd have to think about that more. Hopefully, we just don't have to go Master League for quite a while. I don't think they've announced the second half of Master League, or the when it comes up in the 5th and 6th week. I don't know if they're gonna say whether or not they're gonna open up the gates for level 50s. But it was funny, actually, you brought it up. On my stream, we talked about it, and I was like, the people who can actually make the legendaries are usually not the same people who do PvP. And then someone in my chat said Brandon Tan, just like you were saying. I would love to see some of his gameplay because I'm sure he's going to be making some of those, or already has, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, and huge respect to Brendan Ten. And by the way, I reached out to him to be on the podcast, and he right away replied back, said he would love to. However, he's probably one of the worst persons to talk to about PvP. So he does not want to come on the podcast just not to talk about PvP. But I mean, it's not true because he obviously has pretty big knowledge of Pokemon Go. Just because he doesn't battle every day, that doesn't mean he's a bad person to talk about Pokemon. In case he listens and their friends listen, also, I just want to make sure that that doesn't make him the worst person to talk about PvP because he probably has more knowledge of Pokemon than I am personally.
Yeah, he's probably just being humble. It is what it is.
Exactly. And then, so as far as team building, if let's say new meta comes out, so let's say, and you obviously good at team building because you played Silph pretty good, and now we have these new metas coming out in Go Battle League, for example, the Holiday Cup. I don't really know the details of Holiday Cup just yet, and so we don't need to talk about like the actual Holiday Cup. But how would you go about building an actual team for like a new meta? Like, what do you use as far as resources like PvPoke? And then how do you actually go about creating a team?
Yeah, I almost exclusively use pvpoke.com for sure. That's a great website to use. What I usually do is I'll look at the meta in general. So I'll go to the what's the tab? It's like the rankings for that meta, and I'll see what's in the top like 10, and I'll think about whether or not any of the things in the top 10 counter all the other ones, and they just lose to like other things or something like that. And if I do that, then I'll pick that Pokemon. I'll throw that into the team builder section in PvPoke. I'll see what the counters are, and I'll see what the counters to those counters are. And then I'll pick one Mon based on that for the backline. And then I'll choose another Mon within the top 5 or 10 of those as well, the ones that counter the initial meta pick. And I'll find as generalist as I can of those top like 10 for my third Pokemon. So it's basically it's a known strategy in Go Battle League, but like it's like ABB, that type of line of three. So you have one Pokemon, and then the two in the back counter all of the things that counter the thing in the front, and one of those two in the back is also a generalist, so it has the chance to beat other Pokemon in like a two shield scenario or something like that, so that you can either flip the lead or just try to get the counter to your best Mon against one of the Mon in the back.
So like Vigoroth would be like a good example probably for that, right? Role.
Yeah, exactly. So what I was using a lot in every other season was Munchlax. And yeah, those normal types usually have a really good um, general matchups against a lot of Pokemon in general.
That's a really good. By the way, that right there, what you just said, is probably like the highlight of the whole stream. I mean, a podcast. Because if people just take that away from today's podcast, they will probably be much better at battling and creating teams. Because I'm already like marked myself that I'm gonna take a note of that for creating my next team. And
Cool.
and as far as what would be like one thing if you would have the possibility to change something in Pokemon Go, not necessarily Go Battle League. It could be from rating. It could be anything whatsoever. What would be like one thing that you would love to change in Pokemon Go if you could?
Oh man, I gotta think on that one. That's a tough one. Yeah, I think resources is the toughest part in Pokemon Go, but I don't know how much you could change all that. Honestly, if the game was just working perfect, that would be the only thing that I would care about the most. Like if everything just worked the way it's supposed to work, fantastic game, done.
It's crazy that we say that. So many people said that too, and I agree with you that it's so crazy. That's what that we just want. We just want it to be work perfectly, and everything would be amazing. It's so funny that so many people say that. I hope Pokemon listening to it, because that's what they need to focus on, and not on a new something that we don't want, like stickers.
I do want to say it's not a knock at Niantic. I personally am a software developer, and I know that these things can be tough, especially. So I think I obviously don't have a lot of insight or any insight into Niantic at all, but I assume things were made a certain way at some point before PvP was a thing, and it's very hard for them to change one thing without affecting everything else because of the layering of things. So I totally get it. And yeah, just another thing, just to not throw shade at Niantic again, also the like sticker thing. There are different teams that work on that separate from the PvP team. So like even though you could say you could pull resources from that team and put them on the PvP team, you actually can't. I see that argument all the time. That's not how the software development world works. So I think they'll get there over time, but I think it's going to be tough. I honestly, if I was them, I would do a complete overhaul, and that would I've talked to people about this before. Like, would you be fine with them taking the PvP part of the game down for 3 months or 5 months or something like that? If you knew when they came back, it would be like almost perfect. And I think a lot of people said they would. I personally wouldn't. I love PvPing every day, but technically, like for the health of the game, I think it would be great.
Yeah, that I mean, the way you put it and the way you explained it, it makes perfect sense. I'm happy that you said that, because I see those arguments all the time on Twitter, and that's when I always usually everybody says that I shouldn't protect Niantic, which I'm not. I'm just trying to also um, paint a picture, because I read all their stuff online. I'm all in the business stuff, and then you can actually read their like their executive letters and all those things like that goes out and leaks, and you can actually get info on it. So yeah, to clear it out, they have completely different teams, and the actual PvP scene and the Go Battle League scene and the esports scene is just not growing. And they hired all new people that have training going on for months. They have to get into it, and they probably, just like you said, you know more than I am on that part, that they probably have to redesign everything. If who knows, maybe that's why they're doing it. Because I was actually thinking that and questioning that how come we still not have so many things fixed that they know it's broken for like a year now. And maybe because they're just gonna swap everything out. Maybe they're working on something absolutely new, and one day they're just gonna be like, "Go Battle League is done for a week, and we're gonna swap it out." That would be pretty cool, and that would be a big surprise to everybody, I think.
That would be crazy. I don't know if that's happening, but that would be crazy. I know a few months ago I did see that they were looking for and did hire a lot of testing people. Apparently that was one of the big things. They didn't have a lot of testers, which like if you like I said, if you work in my field, that's a big no-no. So I think that is one thing they overlooked at some point, and I'm glad they're correcting it. It just does seem like it took them quite a while to get there, but hopefully with all the new testing, um, yeah, hopefully everything gets better. So
Awesome. I'm believing in it. Obviously, that's why I'm here, and you are too, and hopefully everybody who's listening or watching the same way. We gotta hang in there, and I'm very excited because so many big name players actually. What's his name? Ninja also obviously starts streaming Pokemon, but not under Pokemon Go, which unfortunate for us. But there are other people like Tim the Tatman, who is also a really big streamer, talks about Pokemon Go and also streamed one. Um, and all these big name players coming into it, which I'm questioning, and I could be wrong, but maybe Pokemon Go also had something to do with it. Niantic reached out to these players and maybe did something to make sure they talk about it more because they relieving the competitive scene, if that makes sense. So that's what I'm hoping for. That's happening. So when they launch, we actually launch big. And by the way, speaking of that, would you pursue the career of a Pokemon Go player if when, or I should say when, they would actually go esports?
I don't know. That's a tough question. So I'll just start it off with I love my job. This is just what I love to do. Computer or software development. Um, I try to stream whenever I can because I actually do love streaming too. I don't know if it's viable for me to switch career paths, but I would be willing to participate. I'm not sure if I would change career paths still. It depends. It depends, I guess, how big it actually gets. But I guess we'll see.
That was very well put, by the way. Great answer. That was great. Um, what I want to lastly ask you before we wrap this up is that, well, a few things actually, but mainly is that, is there anything that you would, if you have like one person in front of you that let's say is your student, who just want to get better at PvP, like what would be like one thing that you would tell that person that that if they walk away with that one thing, they probably gonna start improving their battles, and they're probably gonna get better at Go Battle League. It could be anything. Like this is a new person, and basically just want to involve. They just want to get better at Go Battle League, and they came to you, sit down in front of you, and they're asking, "Please let me know how can I be better."
Okay, yeah, if they're brand new, the first thing I would do is say learn typings. So I come from Gen 1. I played the Game Boy game. I think it was Pokemon Red. Yeah, Pokemon Red. And in Gen 1, there was only like single typings. So I never knew about these double typings. Plus, some of these typings didn't even exist. And I probably wasn't the best at knowing them anyways. So when I came to Go Battle League, when I came to Pokemon Go, um, I really didn't know a lot of typing, like bug type, like what's it good against, what's it bad against. I have no idea. So that's the first thing I would learn. It's probably the most critical thing up front for you to know, just to know whether or not you're taking super effective or not very effective, or dealing that super effective damage out as well. Um, yeah, that's the first thing to learn, I think.
And that was a huge change, by the way, when a few months ago Pokemon Go updated the app, and you can actually see the typings next to their name. That was huge, especially for me
Yeah.
because I didn't know the typings at all. So when and neither the Pokemon, so some Pokemon might popped up, and I was like, "What the hell is that thing?" And just by the look of it, I was like, "Okay, it must be grass, like a Gallade." I would be like, "All right, that's a grass type Pokemon," and no, it was not.
So actually, I had a similar thing. Yeah, I don't know a lot of the new Pokemon at all. Basically, when I first started the game, the only thing I knew was Gen 1 and a couple Gen 2s because they just so happened to be in the show that I've seen before, like Chikorita or Togepi or something like that. But when I played my very first Silph tournament, it was like an 8-person tournament, just a small one, and it was open Great League, and someone used a Fortress, and I had no idea what it was, and I had a Charizard in there against it, and then I was like, I don't know its typing. Let me switch out, and I switched out to something, and then I just got absolutely crushed by it. So, yeah, with the new typing stuff in the top right hand corner, it really helps out, especially with the new Pokemon every time they bring in new ones, because I have no idea what the new ones are. So, yeah,
Yeah,
good
that
change. I love that one.
me too. That was a huge change, and I was very happy about that. All right. So as far as anything, any last thing that you would like to say to the community, to Silph Arena, to Go Battle League, to any of your viewers, to streamers, anything whatsoever before we wrap up this podcast.
Um, No, I don't really have a lot to say. I will say, like, people got to remember this is just a game. Make sure you're definitely having fun with it. If you're not having fun, you mentioned it earlier, take a break. I mean, especially if you're not a streamer, there's no reason to like rage into the next game or whatever you want to call it. So definitely take a break when you need to, and just have fun with it. It's a game.
Good point. And where could people find you, and what time do you usually stream?
Okay, yeah, on Twitch, I usually stream at 5 a.m. Central Time during the week. On the weekends, sometimes I stream at 8 a.m. or not at all. And then I also have a YouTube channel, Vergyverg1, I believe it's on YouTube. No, I think it's Vergyverg on YouTube, and then Vergyverg1 on Twitch. So, and then you can catch my Twitter. I usually tell people when I'm going live. I think that's Vergyverg1 as well.
Yes, it is. I'm looking at it right now. And perfect. So that's when people will get in touch with you. And first of all, thank you again for doing the podcast. And lastly, I wanted to just ask you that what do you think, when will you hit that rank 24 this season?
Rank 24. I'm gonna say end of next Great League. So 3 weeks. No, 5 weeks.
That's so funny you said that, because lastly, real quick, but so many people rushing to it, you know what I mean? So for you to say that in 5 weeks, basically, I will get there, and you are very close to it, but we know that 500 elo points, or even 400, even 300 could, I mean, it's still a huge gap, especially when you're between 2800 to the 3000. That's like going from level 36 to level 40, you know, basically that's what it feels like. So I totally understand, but it's just so cool to hear from you, who is an amazing battler, that you say, yeah, I'm going to probably hit it in about 5 weeks.
Yeah, I'm just realistic. Maybe if I went 25-0 tomorrow, maybe I'll get there.
That's also a possibility, but yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for doing the podcast. I really appreciate you taking the time and coming on the podcast.
All right, Daniel, thank you for having me on.